Hey everybody, Chris and Don here from Fairway, and it's Home Maintenance Monday, right?
Yes,
We're talking about what?
Monday morning. I want to talk about pressure treated wood.
Okay.
I was in Lowe's the other day and I ran across this young couple and they were looking at pressure treated wood, and I probably spent 45 minutes with them there. God knows I can talk. So, pressure treated wood, dried wood, wet wood. How does this come into effect? How does this factor into repairing your deck and so on and so on and so forth?
I think that's something not a lot of people, even in trades, realize sometimes that there's a difference,
There is a difference.
and there's an application for dried pressure treated for sure. So, so I think most builder yards or lumber yards usually carry what's called kiln dried pressure treated lumber. Same thing, I think, essentially, right? But it's been dried already.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you go to your big box stores, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, they have pressure treated decking and lumber, but it's not dry.
It's considered a wet wood.
Yeah. So that's where, or some people call it green wood, right? So you pull it off the rack and it's about 3 times as heavy and it's wet. Yep. So then that's an issue.
Well, it's an
For
issue.
certain cases.
Right, so if you go out and you repair your deck and you run down to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick up say a decking board, 5/4 by 6 decking board, you got a rotted deck board, you replace your deck board, you put this on and you go ahead and stain it. Or you put a solid stain on it, or if you're doing a railing, part of 2x4 handrail, and you go to paint your railing, your paint's gonna stick, but within a year you're gonna be painting it again.
Or the stain won't, if you use a stain, it's not going to soak in.
It's not gonna soak in. What it is when they say wet wood, it's not necessarily wet because it was outside and it rained on it. It's when they take a piece of wood and they pressure treat it, they put it under pressure. Pressure treated. To push the chemical into the wood, and
They oversaturate it, basically.
right, and it takes quite a while for that wood to dry. And what happens a lot of times when it does dry, it'll start warping really bad. It'll start twisting. If you go in and you see a piece at Lowe's or Home Depot that's starting to dry, it'll be taken off. I saw a 4x4 once on the get rid of the quick rack, and you swear this 4x4 was an S. It was like an S. It was warped so bad. I was going to buy it and give it to the handyman.
That's one of the main reasons, besides the fact that you can go ahead and finish it, paint, stain, whatever, that I like the kiln dry, is if you pick out a straight piece,
It should stay there.
it should stay that way.
Right.
And your spacing on your floorboards, you can set it where you need it and it doesn't open up, and
You don't have to plan ahead for shrinkage
Yeah.
because it's kiln dried. Now, when we do deck repairs, we use kiln dried, pressure treated wood. That gives us the ability to be able to stain it, do what we need to do with it the day we repair it. Now, some stains tell you how long.
some recommend 6-month drying periods, and that wet wood is the reason.
Right.
But they're kind of covering that base. So if you do buy kiln dried, you don't necessarily have to. Now, there's some other factors here, like if you're using a penetrating stain, it's still important to pressure wash, lightly pressure wash at least first, to kind of open up the pores of the wood, because it's still kind of got a nice milled exterior where sometimes it doesn't let the stain right in. But that recommendation is based on that wet wood that you get. So if you're in Home Depot or Lowe's, go over to the pressure treated and
Grab a hold of a 2x4
You'll
by
see
8,
what we're talking about. So,
and you'll see exactly what we mean.
which doesn't mean that's it's all necessarily bad. It's just
Well, just make sure you plan ahead to realize that you're going to have to wait for it to dry.
I think the reason it came up is we were getting some carpet cleaning supplies the other day, and the nice kid at the counter said, "Yeah, I just replaced some floorboards, and I'm gonna stain it this weekend." So we got into that conversation.
So we've had this conversation twice now this week with people. People don't really realize it.
Yeah.
I had a customer also, a real quick story, that he had painted railings on his house and on his deck, and his deck was only 3 years old.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
he
common.
painted it every year because the moisture in the wood,
Yeah.
you seal it in with the paint and
Yeah.
end up painting it.
Well, nobody ever tells you that. You don't find that out until you go and put stain on some wet pressure treated wood, and then it gets milky looking or doesn't soak in or peels right back off, and it creates a real mess. So important to know that going in.
That's our tip for the day.
So,
then, is
Yeah.
use it. There's nothing wrong with it. People buy it by the truckloads, but make sure you're aware that you will have to wait for that wood to dry to do painting or staining.
So, if there's any questions anybody has, want to talk more about pressure treated wood, email us, call us in the office at 919-388-2204, and we'll see you next time.